I want to show you something. Anything you want to tell me? The electric, volatile, foolish world of video game news brought us many headlines this week, none of which were really working for me. None of them were really congealing into its own episode. Oh, that's the subject this week. I got it. So this week I figured, why not talk about all of them? Why not touch on all of these things? So I'm introducing a new segment tonight called Low Stakes, Bonus Stakes. Bing! This week Sony announced that they are in fact purchasing Bluepoint Games. This was previously mistakenly announced via a tweet from Sony Japan back in June, around the same time that the Housemarque acquisition was announced. So whatever, this one took a little longer. It wasn't a surprise to anyone, especially because the studio, Bluepoint, has previously, for the last few years at least, been exclusively working with PlayStation. So it kind of seemed inevitable. But hey, this week, it's official, baby. The studio behind the Shadow of the Colossus remake and the Demon's Souls remake and many highly regarded remasters is now part of the PlayStation family. And this phrasing still gives me the heebie-jeebies. That's not a family. That's a corporation. That's a company. That's a business. Night School actually announced this week that they are becoming part of the Netflix team. There's no Netflix team. What's the Netflix team? I think it's, like just corporate speech, just becoming part of your vernacular. And so when you are doing promotions, the word team comes out. It's preferable to family. Either way, you got bought. It's okay to say we got bought. Hey, we got bought. That's a good thing. Congratulations on getting bought. An interesting thing we learned this week, though, comes from IGN, from their interview with Bluepoint, in which we learned that this company, which had previously only made remasters and one-to-one remakes, is now working on an original game. Specifically, the quote is, "Our next project, we're working on original content right now. We can't talk about what that is, but that's the next step in the evolution for us," Bluepoint President Marco Thrush said, noting that even with remakes like Shadow and Souls, the studio was already partially creating original content. Why are we doubling down on the phrase original content? What is original content? Why not original game? Why are you being like that? Is it like a sequel? Does that count as original content? So I can see this going one of two ways. One, they're making some sort of open city Parap the Rapper game where you develop skills by performing hip-hop favors for strangers, eventually building enough reputation to take on one of the rap masters from the 6 visually and musically distinct boroughs. Or two, they're making a horny game. Think about that. PlayStation doesn't really have any horny games right now. And I mean, between Fire Emblem, Bayonetta, and Kirby, Nintendo is somehow hornier than PlayStation. That's not right. There's a huge vacuum in the current PlayStation lineup, and we see it, Sony. Bing! This week, Bandai Namco revealed a new logo. It's this. While their old logo was good, it was unique, and you could tell what it was even without reading the words, the new logo is immediately forgettable and stupid. This is actually a good thing. A new logo should always be somewhat unsettling. If you look at a new logo for some company or whatever, if you look at a new logo and you like it, that means it's pleasant. That means it was expected. I hate this new logo. This I despise. I despise this. Don't make this. Why would you do that? But listen to me talking. I got riled up. In the end, in my gut, I'm feeling passion. So, good job, Bandai Namco. You made something so unmemorable that it is actually memorable. Bing, here's a fun Bloomberg headline. Developers are making games for a Nintendo 4K console that doesn't exist. The basic assertion here is that at least 11 studios that have been in contact with Bloomberg, including Zynga, have in their possession 4K Switch development kits, and that the global chip shortage has been and will be mucking up Nintendo's plans. Sure. Zynga, even in this article, says no, Zynga does not have a 4K development kit from Nintendo. And then Nintendo themselves tweeted, "To ensure correct understanding among our investors and customers, we want to clarify that this report is not true." And then the article itself hedges this so hard, saying specifically, Nintendo could still decide not to launch a 4K Switch. And then is like, Like, remember that time they had the sleep monitor and then never talked about that again in 2014? This could be like that. Sure then, man. Sure. What is this then? Why is this an article? Like, why is it? It feels like your friend who's like, man, I'm totally gonna tell my boss to fuck off this week. Maybe Thursday. Like, I'll actually like, so it's like, maybe like Friday. It's like, unless it is happening, no more articles, please. Bing! From Video Games Chronicle, Destruction All-Star Studio Lucid handed Twisted Metal Revival. Now, this is the first time I've cited Video Games Chronicle as a source, but this is the kind of rumor that just makes sense, especially considering the Twisted Metal TV series that just casted Anthony Mackie as John Doe. Here's my low-stakes bonus take on this, though. Twisted Metal has never been that fun. Twisted Metal is cool, has been cool, maybe is still cool. It's never been that fun. Like, racing games are fun. It's fun to go fast in cars. It's not fun to go slow and shoot these guns that run through ammo really fast. Here's what I think is inarguable. Sweet Tooth is it, man. Sweet Tooth is the franchise. This wouldn't work. I mean, look at this headline. Boom, we know exactly what we're talking about. Sweet Tooth, the clown guy with fire hair. He remains the singular icon of that entire franchise. Of all those games, he's the only one that I think a wide audience could look at and recognize as distinctly Twisted Metal. Anyone else? No. Axel, maybe, but only between two huge tires. Here's my true point, though, is that it's not wrong. It's right. You are so lucky to have a Sweet Tooth in this world. You're lucky to have a Twisted Metal. So the TV series, the reboot, it's right? Like, just to have one character where people go like, oh yeah, that's good. That's more than you could ever ask for. Destruction All-Stars focused heavily on its cast and frankly failed to produce one memorable character design. All of this is to say, use the face. Use that face. You're lucky you got that face. Use that face. I should be responsible. If this free-to-play Twisted Metal reboot comes out and prominently features a clown with fire hair, it will make money. It is as simple as that. And really, that's the most important thing today that we discussed. The real through line throughout all these bonus takes, just make money. You know? Like, forget all that other shit. Everything else is a distraction. Just make money. Money is a beautiful thing. Oh, it's beautiful. You ever touch money? Whew. Feels like it doesn't feel like paper. It doesn't feel like paper. Paper is gross. That's delayed input for this week. I'll be back approximately next Thursday, and I hope to see you then. Thanks for watching. There is one more thing I wanted to touch on this week, so I am introducing another brand new segment. This one's called Ultra Low Stakes Sultry Bonus Take. So here it is. Bandai Namco is tricky to pronounce. And not hard to pronounce, mind you. Just tricky. Tricky because, alright, most US accents take the letter A, the ah sound, and turn it into eh. It's like in kindergarten, you learn A. A makes the ah sound. A. Ah. Now you try. A. Eh. Apple. Like, that's basically just how we talk in the US. Apple. Alan, I can't take the cake. Bandai Namco. And obviously I'm exaggerating, right? But even my normal voice is, Alan, I can't take the cake. I'm still Aang. I'm still Bandai Namco. And so the correct pronunciation would be Bandai, right? And I can say Bandai easily. If the company was just called Bandai, we'd be so set, man. Bandai. Action, satisfaction. However, I feel like if you're on board for Bandai, you have to be on board for Namco. So suddenly you're saying Bandai Namco. And I do believe that that's a step too far. That sounds like you're overpronouncing it, right? You're saying karate. When you're not, instead of karate, you're saying karate. And at that point you're like, well, I'm better than you are. I'm more cultured. So when I say Bandai Namco, I'm basically just trying to say, look, man, I'm no better than you are. I'm a blue collar guy. You know, I'm not one of those Bandai Namco guys. I'm a Bandai Namco guy. Hey, Alan, I can't take the cake.